Welcome to 1036. I'm Portia Young. The United States and Wisconsin are bringing manufacturing back home. 1036 has partnered with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel business reporter Rick Barrett on reshoring. That means bringing work once done in other countries back to the U.S. That's good news for many companies and communities here in Wisconsin, including in Sussex.
As it says right here, made in the USA.
What does it mean to you personally?
I guess I take that for granted a little bit. I just assume that they're going to be built in the United States and they're going to be built well. When they're not built in the United States, you don't always trust them to be accurately built.
That's a sentiment most likely shared among other American manufacturers and their employees, at least before countries like China started making products at a lower cost. The early 2000s were a nightmare for American manufacturing workers. The number of manufacturing jobs, which had been relatively stable at 17 million since 1965, fell by about a third. More than 70,000 factories closed. Experts say by 2010, China had quietly dethroned the United States as the world's leading manufacturer.
There was times that, there were times that it was impacting us too, of course, but we've always been that company that can make it happen no matter what. We always had the can-do attitude.
Tom Soika is the tool manager for Sussex IM, a plastic mold injection company in southeast Wisconsin, where they make termite traps and familiar products such as hand sanitizer dispensers and cosmetic cases, once produced in China.
After the tools run, we bring them in here and we clean them. We remove all the excess grease, perhaps plastic that's been pinched on it, something like that.
Tom Soika has worked in manufacturing his entire career, including 34 years at Sussex IM, and has seen the ups and downs.
Probably around 2008, 2009, when the economy got a little rough, and we did have some layoffs here, which was the first time that it ever happened. And in the end, it ended up being for the better. We became a little more efficient, and we all pitched in and worked a little bit harder and kept the business going, and we're all very proud of that.
You're all going to be on camera, sorry.
Megan Xenakakis is the president and CEO of the family-owned Sussex IM, a mid-sized company, complete with a friendly lab named Chloe.
Come over here. Chloe, sit. Sit. Here we go. Okay. Chloe is our mascot of Sussex IM. She's my brother Chris's dog, and she comes in every Friday. That was a good job. Good girl. We are not in one industry in particular. We're very diverse. So we make medical products, consumer products, industrial, agriculture products. And that has helped us very well through the past 10 years, as when one industry goes down, another one's going up. So I think a lot of companies want to come back to the United States for quality is huge, right? We make a quality product every single time. We have a reliability of supply. Our products are not going to get stuck on a shipping container or in a warehouse somewhere.
Something else is helping Sussex IM remain efficient and competitive: automation.
I know that's a buzzword, automation. What does that really mean? We find creative ways to use robots and vision systems to remove labor out of that assembly process and reduce the ultimate cost to our customer. So that's where we upskill our employees, right? So instead of employees losing jobs to automation, we're training them to be be maintenance technicians for that automation, to program that automation, or even design it. We have a lot of robots in our facility. They're used for assembling parts, moving parts from one assembly area to another, putting parts in boxes. And some of their names are Porky Pig, Tweety Bird. We like to theme all of our automation work cells around the same area.
And why the cartoon names? The boss says it's a sense of ownership.
They came from the manufacturing engineers that designed the automation system. So that's like they're putting their little stamp on that piece of automation by naming all the robots.
The robots and other machinery keep things humming along and employees busy. Sussex IM says it has no plans to move work elsewhere.
We have not looked at moving work to Mexico. We have some of our customers who are using that as a strategy. Right now, that's not something we're looking at because we know as a smaller to mid-sized company, we do best with our workforce very close to us. From what we're seeing in our business right now, we think reshoring is definitely a success. I don't think there's any manufacturer in the United States that would be unhappy that work is coming back to the United States. What I do think is that in order to do that, we have to be smarter with automation and different creative ways to add that value so that our customers will bring the work back to the United States.
Globalization was a good thing for many years, but right now, it's a better thing for the United States if it's not a global economy anymore. We don't have to be the world's police force. We can manufacture here. We have all the products we need. We can be very self-sufficient and not rely on other people to make the goods and products that we need. We can grow all our own food. We can manufacture all of our equipment to grow the food. We can manufacture equipment to do machining. We can do everything here in the United States. This is a mold for a soap dispenser.
Soika says reshoring has helped companies like Sussex IM remain an important part of the community as well.
We make contributions to the park systems, to the library systems. Our company wants to do manufacturing in a clean, sustainable way that doesn't really hurt the local environment. We don't want to dirty the water. If you walk around our facility, it's one of the cleanest facilities I've ever been in. And I think that's a reflection of the overall culture of our company.
My pitch to Americans on why we need manufacturing is, do you buy stuff on Amazon? Everybody buys things on Amazon every day. Those things are produced somewhere. Why wouldn't you want them made in your backyard in the United States? It'll cost less, and you're giving someone in the United States a job to make something meaningful to your life.
And Sussex employees like Maya Estrada say the Made in the USA pride goes along with that. It's seen and felt inside and outside the company.
There's a serial number or whatever date that goes back to a date. It has, there's dates on it that we scan on. We can go back to that date and who made it and who was at that line.
We just love our country, right? And we're proud to be making products in the United States of America for the people of the United States, right? And we're just really proud Americans, and everyone in our plant is very proud to work here.
Yes, because, even my kids, so they're like, I make that at work. They're like, really, Mom? They're like, yes, So they're like, they'll tell their little, because they'll have them at school, and they're like, my mom makes this at school, at work, we have it here at school. So every, different products that they know we make here, and they see it out, and they're like, my mom makes that.
It's good for everybody in the state to have local manufacturing, and if we bring a little bit more of it back and do it well, everyone will have jobs, everyone will prosper, it'll be good for the entire country.
remember to check out Rick Barrett's series, Bringing It Home, at JS Online or at MilwaukeePBS.org. Also, Milwaukee PBS and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel will host a town hall here at MATC in the fall to discuss how reshoring will continue to impact jobs and our communities in Southeast Wisconsin. Check out MilwaukeePBS.org for more details. Now to our continuing coverage of Vote 2024 Table Talk with local voters in partnership with Marquette University's Civic Dialogues program. This time, the topic was immigration. We gathered another diverse group of local voters for dinner and conversation at Engine Company number 3 in the Walkers Point neighborhood. Here's some of what they had to share.
According to public opinion polls, immigration is a top issue in this election. So is immigration an important issue to you? And what about immigration concerns you most? So we'll start with Mark.
It is important to me. And I do believe that the United States needs immigrants in order to survive. I do think that just like other countries, the United States should, you can call it vetting if you want, but people should be vetted before they come into the country. You shouldn't just be able to come into the country however you wish. You can't do that in other countries, so I wouldn't think you should be able to do that here. You should come to the country, yes, and I would love everyone to come. It's a melting pot, but you just shouldn't be able to walk in. You should be able to be vetted and screened and all that, and then you're in. Come in that way, and I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, obviously I'm an immigrant. I can't be an anti-immigrant, so definitely I'm a pro-immigration. However, I do think it needs to be governed correctly. I do think that you need to have rules and guidelines, and that you need to work within those guidelines. I feel like the politics sometimes demonize immigration more than it should, you know. I mean, I think 95% of immigrants are hardworking people. They come here to make a living, to advance their lives. So I do agree. I think it's a land of opportunity. We have a lot of there's jobs here that's not being filled by Americans, and need some immigrants to fill those jobs. And I think if we govern it correctly and talk about it seriously, we can really solve that issue and not politicize that issue.
I know immigration is really complicated, and I think coming from the perspective and the lived experiences of being a child of refugee, right? U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, right? How is it that we are here in this country as Hmong, as other Southeast Asians that have been impacted by war, and are still facing issues of deportation, right? Because when we were refugees here in this country, we lived in some of the poorest neighborhoods. We didn't speak English, right? It's, some of us got in trouble, and then had to serve some time for the, just the careless mistakes that we've made. And then, going through the criminal justice process to then, have like all of a sudden a pathway to being deported from a country that came into your region of the world and participated in a war in, that like uprooted thousands and thousands of families, Southeast Asian families, Hmong families. I mean, I'm an example of that. And so I think that the system is really broken, and that, when we're talking about immigration and we're talking about deportation, we have to really look at U.S. and its participation globally, right? And it's not just what's happening on the southern border, right? It's also like children of refugees, like we have, thousands of, Southeast Asians that are being deported that nobody really knows about. And these are children that came here as children, like the refugee kids. And to experience that and to face that, and through no fault of their own, having to be facing deportation to be sent to a country that they didn't even grow up in. right? Like this is the thing that I think is really problematic, and I understand that even in my community, immigration is a huge concern.
Yeah, I definitely believe that it should change for the people that are already here, especially when you come here as a child and and then all of a sudden you just get uprooted and sent back, and there needs to be something done with that. I want people to be here that really want to be in America and really thrive. And like she came and she goes to school and working and, that's just wonderful, and that's the way that it should be, and it shouldn't be a long, long process to get through. I do believe in vetting though, definitely vetting, and you need to love this country. That's the most important thing.
That question is heavy, and I really appreciate you all saying your honest opinions. Like we said, this commentary challenged the idea, not the person. I know we have all come from different backgrounds, so for me, being an immigrant is like the elephant in the room, because from what I understood growing up, I always had this idea of like, wow, the United States is the greatest country of the world. There's so many opportunities. I can walk on the streets and not get kidnapped, Those basic freedoms, like you mentioned, were so beautiful to think about and understand how much like responsibility of freedom then comes within. But then also, like you just mentioned, the intervention of U.S. politics into Latin America, and then I want to talk specifically about Honduras, was so deep-rooted that for a reason, there's an exploitation constantly of like, that worker is willing to do it for less than the American worker, so we're gonna take that one. And unfortunately, because of that mindset, putting people against each other, I don't think anybody wants terror. I think everyone wants peace and wants freedom for their own community to be safe, to walk around and to not feel like if you are a target or if you are seen as an alien, what can that look like for you if the world politics becomes sour? I just, like can just imagine for immigrants that came from the Middle East during 9/11, being from those places and then carrying that identity with you was so dangerous. Or Asian folks during the pandemic, that was so dangerous because you were seen as foreign. So for me, it is about an equity lens of like, the immigration patterns that we see today in the United States are because of repercussions from past historical mistakes that unfortunately the US government has failed to respond to.
With regards to the upcoming presidential election, PBS NewsHour will be in Milwaukee in September for a town hall with host Judy Woodruff as part of her America at a Crossroads project. Watch for more details at milwaukeepbs.org. Turning now to our series on mental health, How We Heal. In this segment, psychotherapist and producer Elizabeth Kramer takes us to her farm, where we meet some goats and ponies who play a big part in healing one's mental health.
Growing up in the country, I had no idea how lucky I was to have nature around me all the time. Okay, guys, you have to be on your best behavior right now, okay? Hi. Good morning. One of the things I've found as a therapist is that spending time in nature is imperative for good mental health. How are you guys? Yeah, did you sleep good? What is that, a camera? It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, increases positive mood, and improves cardiac and respiratory function. Doctors have even started prescribing time in nature as a treatment. Hi, Jingle. Don't eat Mom's hair. You don't need to eat my hair. No, you have plenty of hay. Today I've invited a certified naturalist and an outdoor therapist to my farm to learn how we can find healing in our own backyard.
My name's Jenna Burris. I'm a psychotherapist of about 18 years, and I specialize in taking my clients outdoors for therapy.
When you would have a client that would normally be seen indoors in an office. What would the difference be when you would move them to trail or just outdoors?
We grow when we get outside of our normal day-to-day environment. When we go outside, this is where humanity started. We spend 90% of our time indoors now, about 10% outside, and that's the opposite of where we were a couple hundred years ago. We're meant to be outside, and I would invite people to try it. I would invite people to see what nature has to show us, to reconnect with that part of ourself, the biological part of ourself, the part that is integrated with nature. How does it affect us? How do we affect it?
So as far as what we're going to look for today out here, what are some things that we should be aware of?
One thing I would look for is just the different shades of green that you see all around, the different textures, and let your eye start to take in the mass amount of detail that's out here versus kind of seeing things in blocks. Like really look for the individual expression of each plant and each tree. My name is Megan Drevlin, and I'm a Wisconsin Master Naturalist and a yoga and mindfulness instructor.
How does nature help us heal?
Nature is an incredible healer. Everything from just the physical and mental benefits that you receive from breathing in the air in a space that's full of plants photosynthesizing and trees letting off information to communicate with other trees. Like, you interact with that just through your breath. So just something as simple as being outside and breathing can shift your mood, your immunity, your sense of connection with the world around you. And those are all really powerful things in maintaining a healthy mental state. We just had a lot of rainfall, and I would suggest some nice deep breaths to kind of ground with the environment around you. The rainfall has a great way of cleaning the air and releasing negative ions into the air, which have been proven to help with mood, with immunity, things along those lines. So it's a great way to just connect with like the actual micro environment that you're experiencing, because you're absorbing the chemicals that the trees are releasing, you're absorbing the chemicals that the plants are releasing. And by chemicals, I mean like the best of things.
Yeah,
like,
good chemicals.
Yeah, the good chemicals.
One of my favorite parts of this trail is the pine rose.
This tree is actually valued for more than just the way it looks. I know that long ago in Celtic tradition, around the winter solstice, people of the Celtic tradition would bring in pine and other coniferous branches to put around their mantle, and the heat from the fire through those winter months would release the essential oils into the air, boosting their immune system, because the chemicals these needles hold are also antimicrobial, antibacterial. So a lot of health benefits with these guys.
Additionally, just being in the forest, the additional vitamin D we receive from the sun, the additional oxygen we receive from the trees, the little oils that the trees release, it works for us, and I think it works even therapeutically because it improves our creativity, our problem solving. There's great research through a lot of centers in Japan out when they go out into the forest, taking people's biometrics before they go out, when they come back, when it helps our heart rate, our breathing, it improves our brain functioning.
Not everybody has access to a yard, but it doesn't mean they don't have access to a space that they can connect to nature. So that might be a park, that might be a trail, just even a tree, developing a relationship with a tree in the sense of, observing it with a curious eye. Like, what do the leaves actually look like? You know, what make them unique? How do they change through the seasons? Like, how does the bark look? What does the bark feel like? Going outside, finding a place that you're kind of drawn to, and then really exercising curiosity about that space can really allow you to bring a connection into nature no matter where you live.
That'll do it for us here at 1036. I love the community of Southeast Wisconsin, and it's an honor to tell your story. Many thanks to our crew, to the amazing students at MATC, and everyone associated with 1036. And many thanks to all of you for watching and supporting this show, and for supporting Milwaukee PBS. Take care.